What's up, guys? I have the pictures of the cave paintings from the end of the Kong Skull Island, the post-credit scene of the Toho Kaiju, in case you want to see them again, or you didn't see them in the first place and you're curious. So I have them. We're just going to run through them. I'm going to talk about them a little bit and just give you my thoughts on them. And start off, we have the picture of the first picture of Godzilla, which it's just a cave painting of Godzilla. Not a whole lot going on, nothing special. He's just standing in the middle. Obviously, I mean, the cave painting does a really good job at portraying that this is the legendary Godzilla with his shape and things like that. So that's one thing we could take here from these cave paintings, is that they are accurate. They're going to be accurate so far, just from the first one, to what the monster's at least physical shape is going to be. And that's something that's good looking at the future ones. So I definitely like this first picture of Godzilla. Number two is this picture of Rodan, and he does look very pterodactyl-like. He doesn't look like the original Rodan. He doesn't look like the 60s Rodan. Doesn't really give me even the Final Wars Rodan vibe. What it gives me the feeling of is the Fire Radon or Fire Rodan from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 93 or Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, whatever title you want to go with. He looks a little bit more smaller, a little bit more airborne agile, as opposed to the more humanoid shape with the big wings. He looks like an actual more of the Pteranodon style from the 90s, which I like. I mean, he's going to be a good match for the way Mothra appears. So I like the design choice of him being more of the Pteranodon 93 version of Rodan or Radon. It was in that movie. It's gonna be, you know, a good bring back of that design, because it was the only time that really design was used, and I kind of like that one. Next we have the cave painting of Mothra, which it's a little harder to go off of on this, because it's always gonna be the butterfly, or moth. It's a butterfly. This actually makes it look like it's got more of moth-like head, antennas, and then the butterfly style wings. If this is going to be the way its outline appears, it looks like the antennas are going to be coming on the sides of its head rather than its forehead, which will be a little bit different. But there's not a whole lot we can go off of just looking at this picture. It's not, it's just Mothra. You can't really do much. It's always going to look pretty similar. Second to last picture. This is what I was waiting for the entire movie, to be honest. King Ghidorah. I love King Ghidorah. And this picture, this cave painting of him, it's just so majestic. Just him standing face on, like you're right in front of him looking up at him, with his wings stretched out and his head stretched out. It really gives me the 90s Ghidorah vibe. Just the way it's kind of built, its basic like structure. It's got those very, very large tops of its legs that thin out, and the thickness of the body and the necks, and the way the horns are shaped. You can't really get the horn shape out of this picture in particular, because this is a still from a low quality cam video, obviously. But seeing it in the actual theater, you could see the entire outline of its horns and things like that, and it was in my opinion, it was very King Ghidorah of the Heisei series, at least in my opinion, especially with the way the wings were too. It was just very, very majestic dragon, and that really excited me, because Ghidorah is gonna be so badass in this franchise. Like, he is gonna be fucking amazing, in my opinion. Like, I am so excited. And then we move on to the last picture here, which is actually Godzilla and King Ghidorah squaring up, basically, and they're about to go at it. And this is as good as it gets. Like, this is all-time hype right here. Like, you can't get any better than this. Ghidorah, it's obviously a different cave painting. He looks a little thinner, but Godzilla doesn't look as accurate as the first picture does too, which is fine. It's just a different style of the painting. Um, with this, the horns appear different. It looks like he almost has like a mane of horns on the bottom head. That middle head looks like he has more traditional two horns. The top, it's hard to discern, but he looks just a little bit, you know, thinner. And look how big he is. Look how big he is. His neck, one neck stretched out, is going to be about as big as Godzilla, like lengthwise. Like Godzilla's feet to head is about the length of Ghidorah's neck from his shoulder, what would be his shoulder area, to the top. Ghidorah is going to be huge, which he always is huge, or is supposed to be huge, except for the exception of 2001 with GMK, where he wasn't fully grown and never got fully grown. But this Ghidorah is going to be so big, and obviously, if you haven't figured it out by now, this is going to be a Ghidorah the three-headed monster, or Ghidorah the three-headed monster plotline, because it's going to be Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra versus Ghidorah. That's just the way it can't be anything else. It's going to be like a modern remake of that movie. With the monsters, at least. I obviously they're not going to go with, oh, it's Ghidorah, the space monster. No. Yeah, obviously it's going to fit with the Hollow Earth theory that's been established as what this franchise is based off of. And they're going to need a big-ass hole on the ground to stick that fucker in there, because Ghidorah is huge. But I'm curious as to what is going to wake up all of these monsters. Obviously, Kong was never asleep. He was never in one of the things. He was living on that island. Godzilla was woken by the presence of the Muto, I believe was the final verdict of that. And he had been conscious, you know, from 54 or whatever. But what is it that's going to wake these? Is it a consequence of Godzilla and the Mutos fighting on Earth that awakens these? Or is it going to be man's discovery of them somewhere? Like, I don't know if these paintings are going to be actually where those monsters are or nearby, and if their exploration into these underground systems is what's going to awaken the monsters in the future. So I'm very interested in finding out what is it that's going to bring these monsters up, and what it is that's going to bring them all together in the same place. I'm wondering if it's going to come down to a final battle royale, or if it's going to go like a GMK route where Godzilla doesn't actually ally itself with any of the other monsters, and he ends up killing one of them off before the final confrontation with Ghidorah and Mothra, because obviously in that movie Baragon was wiped off pretty early on, and then it was just left with Godzilla, Mothra, and Ghidorah. But I'm pretty sure Ghidorah is going to be the main villain, and then Rodan and Mothra are going to assist Godzilla in the fight, because it's Rodan and Mothra. They're not fighters. They're like assistant monsters. They're not kings. The line at the end of this movie that says Kong isn't the only king, and they talk about these monsters. Godzilla, the king of monsters, and King Ghidorah, yes, they're going to be big badasses in this franchise, but Rodan and Mothra are not very good monsters in comparison to Godzilla and Ghidorah. They're just basically like support in fight. So, I don't know. Obviously, Godzilla and Ghidorah are going to be the main beef of the movie, and then Rodan and Mothra are going to be there. I doubt they're going to make Mothra, a fighting monster. He's going to beat him up with his strong bug legs. I don't see that happening. Rodan, depending on which style they choose or how they make him, if it's going to be like Fire Radon, then he's going to be more support, but if they make him like Final Wars Rodan and make him like beefier and bigger, then maybe, but seriously, like, he's not going to be able to do much with his big old wings. The reason Ghidorah is so much of a threat is because he's twice as big as Godzilla. He's got 3 heads that he basically uses his arms to beat up people with, and the fact that his anti-grav beams are just so devastating, I wonder what their explanation of that's going to be. I mean, it's not like we really got explanation of Godzilla's breath and the logical standpoint. I mean, it's a giant monster, but whatever. But seriously, it's going to be crazy. I mean, I hope this movie isn't 90% backstory of the 3 monsters and then 10% actual monsters. That would be kind of ridiculous unless they moved this a really lengthy movie, like 2.5 hours. But who knows? We'll see in 2019. We still got a while, 2 years. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think of the designs that we can make out of these cave paintings, and I will catch you all in the next one.